Hi, it's Lori from Coast to Coast Craft Girls. I always look for different ways to use my Crafter's Companion goodies, and today I want to share with you some ornaments that I made. This one's using the glitter paste. These are just acrylic round ornaments, and I put a monogram on the back. And this one is using the penguining to look like a lot like Christmas stamp, and then I put a little sentiment on the back. I'll show you how to make those. Let's get started. I used these acrylic ornaments. They're from Hobby Lobby. I got them last year after Christmas on clearance, and they were like $1 for 8 of them. And I have a package that's open. And they have a plastic coating on both sides. So first thing you got to do is get the plastic coating off of the one side. We're going to start with the stamped image, and then I'll do the glitter paste. Actually, I'm going to start with the glitter paste because it takes time to dry. So usually if you just kind of stick your pokey tool in right above that hole, you can get a hold of the layer. There it is. And what I found is don't peel the protective layer off the back because we're going to do some embossing powder on it, and it's best if you leave that on. And then clean it or wipe it with some isopropyl alcohol. Just to make sure it's good and clean and any adhesive residue or anything from the cover is off of there. And then I used a stamping platform. Let me dry that. You can see I've got a lot of stamps that I've been using. Get that out of the way. And position your stamp on there. You can use any stamping platform. I happen to like the hinged ones a lot because with the Crafter's Companion one, I tend to not push straight down. So yeah, I end up with a bit of a shadow sometimes. So this is your Spectrum Noir opaque pigment in black. So you can see what I'm doing. I'm just going to ink up the stamp. That looks pretty good. And then we're going to use some black embossing powder. And I tried so many different things to keep the embossing powder from sticking to other parts of the ornament, and nothing I did seemed to work. So I tried an anti-static pad. That didn't do any good. I tried making sure it was good and clean. That didn't do any good. I tried several different types of embossing powder. That didn't matter. Then I tried black ink, but clear embossing powder, thinking, well, if I have clear embossing powder in, spots that I don't want it, it's not as noticeable. And I'll show you the results of that. And wasn't happy with that either. So the only thing I found that works is kind of banging it on the side and then a little paintbrush to try and get as much off as you can. And then There's always going to be some residual that you don't want on there, but it's okay. It is what it is. And then we're going to heat emboss that. Let me get my heat gun. Okay. And that's good and melted. Let me wipe up my stamp and put this aside. And then now it's embossed on this side. And what I did is I colored it, but I colored it on the reverse. You can color on this side, but I found it's actually easier to color on the back. And then it just shows through, because if I colored on the front, I ended up coloring on top of the lines and just different things, and I didn't think it looked quite as good. When you color on the back, it seemed like it gave it more depth or something. So let me put it on some white so you can see. So this is the embossed side, and you can feel it. And then we're going to flip it over and color on the back. And I just used alcohol markers. So we'll start by coloring the penguin. This is just a Classique True Black. And you're just going to kind of color. You can see through the lines. So that's all done after I colored on the back. And on these, I actually put some white on the back to make it show a little bit better. I mean, you don't have to, but I kind of like the looks of the white on the back. And what I did is I used white vinyl. It's Oricel 651 permanent vinyl, and then a circle nesting die that's just about the size of the ornament. Sorry, can't think what I'm saying and do this at the same time. Anyway, and I just ran it through. Let me cut it. I just used my circle nesting die to cut it. Run it through my MIDI. So your die cutting machines don't just cut paper, you can also cut vinyl with them or whatever. And then I put the vinyl on the so this is the side that has the embossing and this is the side I colored on, and I put the vinyl on the side that I colored on. But I'm going to stamp it before I do that. Now this is a shiny vinyl, and because of that, it's actually I should have stamped it before I cut it. But because of that, the opaque pigment ink didn't really stay on there very well, and so I used Stays On ink on it, and it worked much better. And then I just have a little Christmas saying, "May all your Christmas wishes come true," and then I'm going to put the year on it. And since I only have one of the twos, I gotta do that one twice. So we'll just get it all lined up. Pick up the stamp. Ink. And then you just want to be careful when you stamp that you stamp straight down and don't smear it around, because it will smear until it dries. So just kind of, and then I'll get that May again in a second, but I got to move my 2 to the front so I can get my 2023. And then this time I don't want to ink everything, but I mean, I don't have to ink everything, but let me set this off to the side. So now so again, this is the side that's got the embossing on it. So I'm going to put that side down, make sure this is dry. Yeah, it's dry. Now, if you've never worked with vinyl before, you peel the backing off. And the easiest way to do this, to get it on smoothly, is first you want to wipe, make sure that back part's nice and clean, and then just peel that backing off. And don't peel it all the way off, just peel a little bit, bend it down, and then get it straight and line this up over the top with the backing still on. Get it all lined up. And then push down that little bit that you peeled off. And then I have a little squeegee. You don't have to use a squeegee, but this works well. And if you just kind of pull that while rubbing the vinyl down, it just puts it on there nice and smooth. Take your pokey tool and poke through the hole in the middle. And there we go. And then I'm just going to add a ribbon and I'll be all done. So let me get a if you just kind of make a point, and then my ribbon's a little bit thicker than I would normally use, but you can poke an end through and then get it in. And then just make the ribbon tie as long as you want. And you can add a bow to it if you want, or I decided not to on the penguins because I'll show you in a second. Because I looked at putting a bow on it, and if I had a bow, it would be right here, basically on top of the penguin's hat, and I thought that looked kind of strange. So, and there we go, all done. I did put a bow on this one, and I'll show you this one in a minute. I'm going to make this one next. So, but one thing I wanted to show you, a couple of things I learned. So, the first time I didn't do a good job at getting all of the black embossing powder off, and you can see it's here, and it's kind of just looks messy and smeared. And then the other thing that happened with this one is I put the back on the vinyl, and I actually stamped and heat embossed with the opaque pigment ink, and then I heat embossed it. And on this shiny vinyl, the opaque pigment ink, even with heat embossing, just rubbed right off. It was a mess. So I peeled the vinyl off and I put new vinyl on and then used the StazOn ink. But when I peeled that back vinyl off, it took off some of the ink, and then I didn't recolor it. So that's why, like, see here, the blue and the black looks kind of faded or messy. So that was one sort of boo-boo. Then on this one, I thought, because I did this one first, and I thought, oh, well, I know. I don't want, because I can't get the embossing powder off, I'll use clear embossing powder with black ink. So that's what I did on this one. And look how faded comparatively to this with the black embossing powder. This is so, like, the lines are almost not there. And I didn't like that much of a faded look. So this is clear embossing powder. And then I still ended up with remnants of clear embossing powder all over the place, and then it just looked really bad because you could see it. So I don't know if you can, if I shine the light just right, you can kind of see what I did on this one to make it look better is I took my Versamark ink and I just went all over the thing with clear Versamark ink and heat embossed with clear embossing powder over the entire thing. And then that made it kind of look shiny and all over, and so it didn't look as bad. But I still don't like how faint those lines are. So I ended up doing it again with the black embossing powder, but trying to do a better job at brushing off the extra. And that one looks a little bit better. So anyway, so those are the penguins. Now I'm going to show you how I did this one with the glitter paste. And then I did rather than the year, I did a monogram on the back, and I'll show it. But same thing, this is just white vinyl, and then this is a silver vinyl that I just cut with an alphabet die and peeled off and put on there. So you can put anything you want on the back, or you can just leave it blank too. If you had printable vinyl, you could actually run it through your computer and print names and, years or birth dates or baby's first Christmas or whatever you wanted to put on the back, and then cut it out if you had printable vinyl, or those which is basically white sticker sheets that you can buy at any um, stationery store, at Target or um, a Hobby Lobby or a craft store, or online on Amazon. But just look for white sticker paper, or printable vinyl, and then you could put anything you wanted on. But let me show you how to do that one. Okay. So I have another blank, and again, I'm going to peel the coating off just one side. I'm going to leave the coating on the back side just to kind of protect it. On this one, it's not as important because you're not doing heat embossing, but just in case I set it in something, I can keep it clean. There we go. And then it should be clean, but I just you take your stencil. I have a repositionable adhesive on here, and it's not terribly sticky because I sprayed it before I did this one. And I don't know if you can see, but there's actually some remnants of the repositionable adhesive stuck to the acrylic, and I've been working on scratching it off. But that's part of the reason why I put the white on the back, because without the white on the back, it was a lot more noticeable. And I don't know if I just got too much of the repositionable adhesive on there, or what, but I'm going to try it this time with just what's left on there, and I don't think it's going to stick to the blank, but we'll see. So the easiest way to position it is to turn the stencil over and then put this over the top so you can actually see through, and you can try and get it right in the middle. Push it down. Let's see if I've got enough adhesive on there to stick. Oh, maybe. So hopefully I got enough adhesive on there to stick, but not to leave too much residue. And then I used the blue and the silver, and I used both the blue and the silver, and I'll show you. And what I did, I started with the silver, and I put a little bit of silver right in the middle, and then I put the blue around the outside. I don't know about you, but my glitter pastes, every time I go to use them, it's like they need to get mixed up. It's like they separate. The glue from the glitter gets separated out, so I had to kind of mix it up. They're still nice and creamy, which is great, but they do get kind of separated. So I put my silver in the middle. And it doesn't really, I don't think it matters that you get it even or whatever. I'm just looking for a little bit of silver separate from the blue. Then we'll get a little bit of blue. There we go. I just want the blue around the outside. And if it kind of mixes with the silver, that's just fine because I really want kind of a mixture anyway. Okay. And then I know I'm not supposed to mix it, but because the silver is kind of not really a color, I kind of don't feel bad about putting it back. Let me close these up and then I'll peel that off. Try to be really good about closing them, leaving the foil on and closing them nice and tight as soon as I'm done so they don't dry up. Okay, then you're going to peel the stencil off and let's see if that adhesive was enough. Oh, it worked. Good. And I put it, you can't see off to the side, I've got a tub of water that I'm putting stuff in right away. And there you go. And you're just going to let that dry as it is. And then when it's dry, you can peel the backing off and then you can decide. This one, much better. I don't have all the residue from the adhesive, so I don't think I'm going to put white on the back of this one like I did on this. I'll just add the ribbon and a bow, and I used my hot glue gun to put the bow on. But if you want, like I said, if you want, you can do the vinyl on the back. Again, you can use sticker paper, or you can buy rolls of vinyl at a craft store or on Amazon or any of that. Or you can buy sticker paper as well. And the sticker paper you can put through an inkjet printer, which would be really fun to then put, and I might actually do that, to then put like your kids' names on there or and the date or a special verse specifically for a person or a family name if you wanted to give a gift to a family, to a set of friends or something. So that's it. I hope you enjoyed that. And again, I just love finding new ways to use my Crafter's Companion goodies to make things other than just cards. I love making cards, but it's fun to make other things too. So I hope you enjoyed that. Good night.